What's up, guys? It's your boy the Dinkage, back again with another video for you guys. Sorry it's been taking so long. I've been super busy this past weekend, between having some computer issues and dealing with watching a good tournament all weekend. But I'm back here. We're gonna have an exciting video for you guys. We're gonna be talking about the JOOLA Hyperion 16mm. The version I'll be using is the Simone edition. If you don't know, the only difference is it's a smaller grip and it's slightly lighter in weight, but I prefer it since I've just kind of used the Simone edition with the Gen 1 Hyperion and the Gen 2 Hyperion. I didn't pick it for a specific reason. I just picked it up when I picked it up, and that's kind of where I went. But before we get into it, quick reminder, I am a JOOLA rep. However, I do not get paid to endorse this paddle. These are purely my opinions and my thoughts. So if there's nothing else, I just want to make a quick note. Special thanks to Hearted, one of my players that I work with, being willing to sit on camera and for you guys to watch some of these clips that I have and kind of kick this butt, but we don't talk about that. But let's get into the video, right? So prior to me using the Hyperion, I have been using the Perseus 16mm Pro 4 and the Agassi 16mm Pro 4. Right away I felt that I would say this is more the control version of the paddle, just in terms of I was having some trouble with generating more power, but I felt really confident with my drops and some of my dinks. I'd say that I was struggling a bit more with the Perseus. I think big change was just the balance point with the Hyperion is lower and it's got a lower swing weight, so I'm able to really generate more of that flick and soften up a lot of my shots more. But comparing it to, let's say, a 3S Hyperion, I'd say it's even softer than a 3S, to be honest. I felt like that 3S was a bit flatter, especially with my drives. Not necessarily a bad thing. I felt like, me dialing in the drives with this Pro 4 Hyperion, definitely had some drives that were kind of floating a little higher and lost a little bit of miles per hour, but again, not necessarily a bad thing. So let's talk about the things I really like, and then we'll talk about the things I don't love as much, right? Things I really liked were just being able to counter stronger. I did feel like I struggled a bit sometimes with the Perseus. It could just be, again, the balance point was higher with the Perseus, so I wasn't able to get that paddle up as quick. And what I liked about the Hyperion a lot, and honestly, this is probably going to be my daily use paddle for the next few weeks, possibly the next few months. I just always loved the Hyperion shape. Just being able to control the spin and the drops a lot smoother, really allows me to transition through the court easier. You can see throughout the video I should get up to the net quite a bit and able to flick some quick volleys and produce some good angles off these shots that I don't feel like I had that ability to with the Perseus or the Agassi. I felt like with the Agassi it was very power oriented. With the Perseus it was kind of an all-around paddle, whereas with the Hyperion it's definitely more that control friendly, loftier paddle, I would say. And for someone like me who hits already so much power, it's almost nice to have a paddle that's gonna be able to control that power easier for me. I think hitting serves I was quite comfortable with. I felt that I was able to generate a lot of depth on the ball. I wouldn't say I generated a lot of speed, but generated a lot of depth, so that's always nice. I'd say, once the point started, I felt pretty comfortable hitting ground strokes and, again, just keeping good depth. Things I wasn't in love with, though, with the Hyperion, I felt like I'm struggling with returns. Just not generating as much plow through that ball. And, I've noticed lately I've been hitting my returns a little shorter. I'm kind of pulling my opponent up to the net quicker, so that's something I'm probably gonna have to drill on for a bit and to really get used to again. But once I got past the return, I feel like I'm very comfortable with this paddle, just kind of moving up, transitioning, and getting ready to defend and reset a lot of these balls. I think with the Agassi, I was very prompted to drive the ball a lot, and I don't have that feeling with this Hyperion, which I think is an awesome thing to hear. I felt that, I think a lot of times when my partner popped up the ball, I didn't feel like I couldn't defend it. Just again, with that lower balance point, I'm able to kind of move my hands quickly to get, my paddle on the ball and, keep the point going. So overall, I think this would definitely not be a recommendation from me if you're a singles player. But if you're a big doubles player who wants to really enhance their soft game and loves that feeling of a JOOLA in your hand, the Hyperion is kind of a really good choice to look into. And I know at my club in particular, some of the ladies were talking about, they like the 16, but they feel that the grip is a little too big. The Hyperion Simone Edition is kind of the way to go, just because it is a 16 with that smaller grip. I believe it's a 4 and 1/8 grip circumference as opposed to the 4 1/4. It doesn't sound like a lot, but once it's in your hand, you can definitely feel that difference. The reason I like the smaller grip is because I actually typically put some lead weight in my grip with 2 over grips over it. I do take the base grip off, but that's just something that I've kind of done since I first started pickleball. There's no really big particular reason I do that. But I think everyone plays with their paddle a little differently. But overall, things I really liked, again, the control, the feel of this paddle. Things I feel like struggled a bit was definitely generating power and generating pace. I think this will be a phenomenal doubles paddle for a lot of the people out there. I think, the Hyperion kind of gets slept on in the JOOLA lineup just because everyone likes the Perseus and, everyone wants the big power paddles. So, but if you feel like you have too much power in your game and you want to kind of dial it back a little bit while keeping that, JOOLA feel, this is probably the paddle for you. If there's any comments or questions down below, comment down below and let me know. Happy to answer, the best that I can. I hope you guys find the best paddle in your journey in pickleball. If there's nothing else, you guys have a great day, and think around and find out. Peace. For you, chat.